How's it going, sports fans, bettors, and cappers, and welcome back to the Competitive Hedge podcast. I am your host of the show, Kenneth, and this is episode 202. We talk about the latest in the sports world, even talk about some of the daily games that are happening, and then we give you some plays on the betting front. Now, as always, before we get into today's episode, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Before we get started with today's episode, are you looking to make some wagers? Then head over to bet99.com. Bet99 is a Canadian sportsbook and casino that offers in-play betting, player props, a cash-out option, and many more great products. There are a variety of sports available on the website to bet on, including NHL, NBA, NFL, and MLB. Bet99 works smoothly on both desktop and mobile, and the mobile app can be downloaded from the website's homepage. Now, depositing and withdrawing funds is hassle-free with a number of well-known methods available to use, so you know your money is safe and secure. The website can be viewed in both English and French, and customer service is available 24/7 with their live chat option. So go to bet99.com today to make an account. Use code SHOOTERS at sign-up, and please gamble responsibly. You must be 19 plus years of age to do so. And if you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Now, let's get back to the show. Now, with that, let's head over. As we said on our last episode, we're going to look at the winners and losers of the summer with our summertime winners and losers segment. We're going to do this over the next number of weeks as we head into the NFL season and ultimately the end of summer. So our winner for this Friday has to be golf fans as a whole, because on top of the players making more money than ever, we have had a great summer of finishes and events overall. Prior to the U.S. Open, we got Nick Taylor winning the Canadian Open, dropping a 60-footer there. Then you head into the U.S. Open, you get Wyndham Clark, a first-time major winner, on a loaded leaderboard at that, with guys like Rory and Scotty in contention. Then we get some fan favorites picking up some victories over the summer. Keegan Bradley, Ricky Fowler ending his drought, Rory McIlroy getting in the win column as well. Then you get Brian Harman at the British Open. He goes out, puts on an absolute masterclass at Royal Liverpool, and now heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs, along with the Ryder Cup next month as well. We are in a great spot for the sport. And oh yeah, if you're one of those guys that likes live golf, we just got to watch Bryson go 61-58 in back-to-back rounds to win an event there as well. I think the sport's in great hands, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. Now, our loser that we have has to be the Tour de France, because, I mean, in general, you could call this a loser every single year since not only Lance Armstrong retired, but was inevitably disgraced from being an all-time cheater. The sport of cycling is just not in a great spot, hasn't been for a very long time. Not that cycling's ever going to be on the front page in North America, unless you're an athlete from North America dominating it. But I had to Google that Jonas Vingegaard, he won, and not only that, he was going back-to-back, and yet I'd never heard of who he was. Perhaps that's me being an uneducated fan, but I think it's more so the fact that the sport is in crisis mode, especially from a marketing perspective, and they've got a lot of things to work on if they're going to pick up some fans moving forward. So now that we've talked about the summertime winners and losers, it is EPL opening day today. Incredibly excited for this. As I said on Wednesday, we were betting on EFL League Cup. That's how much we're itching for this one to be back. And we've got a ton of games happening now. At the end of the episode, we're going to give you our play for today for that Burnley and Manchester City matchups. For me, one of the best matchups of the entire match day one. But we're going to talk about these Saturday and Sunday games first, and we're going to do so in our segment that we call the Daily Game Slate. So with that, let's play the video. One of those opening games that we're going to look at is Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest. Arsenal clearly heavy favorites at -500 and Nottingham Forest at +1400. Now, over 2.5 goals, we're looking at -225. So Vegas is expecting a ton of goals to be happening here. And I can see why. When you look at the results last year, we had a 5-0 at-home victory for Arsenal. But then we also got a 1-0 late in the year with Nottingham picking up the victory. Now, the bet that I'm looking at for this game is the Arsenal team total. It's currently sitting at -134. Maybe a bit risky to take such a high team total, but I think that Arsenal want to make an early statement. We even talked about it in our last episode that we have Nottingham Forest as a relegation side as well. So I like the play here. I think Arsenal gets out to a fast start as they did last year. We're just going to see if they can close much better than they did last campaign. And we've got Bournemouth, they're +171 taking on West Ham at +162. And this is a very even matchup. We've got teams that finished 14th and 15th in the table last year, so they're in the bottom half, but they survived. But one thing that we did see was the fact that West Ham won 2-0 in October and then 4-0 later on in the season. I think this could just be a really bad matchup for Bournemouth. This is the team that I also bet to be at the bottom of the table and at the very best, a relegation side. So I'm really interested in West Ham draw no bet on the road at -160. Then we head over to Brighton. They are taking on Luton Town and Brighton, one of the clubs that finished in the top half last year. And that's why we're seeing -300, crazy juice at home as they take on Luton Town, the last team that got promotion a season ago. Now, I'll be honest, I really love Luton Town here. I think that they're going to get a result in their opening game. Perhaps this is just me overbelieving the hype. They had a lot of players come in, but they also had a lot of players leave. So I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to get on the same page. It is tough to open on the road. They know that the following matchup they get is Chelsea on the road. This is their first time in the top flight as well. I think that Luton has plenty of potential and double chance at +200. I'm going to sprinkle it at a half unit. The next game that I'm looking at is Everton +125 taking on Fulham at +233. Everton narrowly avoided relegation last year. Fulham was pretty clear of the drop zone last season. Now, I liked Fulham a lot more before Willian just turned around after signing a new contract with them and headed to the Saudis. Pretty crazy. One of the bigger storylines of the last couple weeks. But I just don't love either side from a goal-scoring perspective. We got a 0-0 draw here, and then we got a 3-1 result in April. I tend to lean the under 2.5, especially without Willian being there to distribute. And at -115, I'd be willing to throw a half unit on this one as well. I think we get a 1-0 or 2-0 result for either side. I also can't pick a side here because I think that Everton have made some significant strides in the offseason. Then we head over to Newcastle, -128 versus Aston Villa at +350. This is probably the toughest game for me to want to bet on, and it's because Newcastle was a top 4 club all of last year. They defended incredibly well, didn't score a lot of goals, and I don't think that they went out in the transfer window and actually addressed that big concern up front. Villa, on the other hand, they finished very strong under Unai Emery as manager. I just think it's a really tough one. I do think that Newcastle's the superior side, but I could very easily see a draw here. This is one that I would fade, but I think it's actually one of the best matchups that you could watch over the weekend. So I recommend watching, not betting on it, Newcastle Villa. Then we head into Sunday. We get Brentford +175 versus a shell-shocked Tottenham at +150. And how could they not be? The departure of Harry Kane, it was one of the talking points of the offseason, and then he leaves 3 days prior to the season beginning. That is crazy bad luck for Tottenham. I talked about them being a potential top 6 side. I might have to walk that one back now, knowing that Kane is no longer there. Brentford, now they don't have Ivan Toney either, and it's because he loves doing what we do here on the show, and that's putting down some bets. But Brentford, they drew them last season, and they also beat them last season. So I think getting a draw no bet at home against a shell-shocked Tottenham at -105 is one of the best values of the entire weekend. And then probably the marquee matchup of the opening weekend, Chelsea plus 185 versus Liverpool plus 140. You see the club names. You got Stamford Bridge, you got Anfield, you've got players like Mo Salah out there and Raheem Sterling and plenty of others. But what we didn't see in this matchup last year was goals. We got 2 0-0 draws. This is the same Chelsea team that couldn't create a lot of chances last year. I don't know if they've truly addressed their concerns up front. Injuries decimated them at the back, so I think they're going to be much better on the back end. But I believe Liverpool will create plenty of chances in this game. I won't be able to bet the under on this game as much as I would love to, but I may look at a live look. If we get a slow start, maybe I'll bet the under here. This is a live bet opportunity for me, but definitely the game to watch of the entire weekend. So with that, we've broken down the games for Saturday and Sunday, but what's happening today on Friday? We're going to give you our last call pick segment sponsored by Last Mountain Distillery. But before we do, let's go ahead and play that promo video. Last Mountain Distillery is family-owned and operated, located in Lumsden, Saskatchewan, the heart of grain country. Saskatchewan's first micro-distillery success lies in their commitment to producing high-quality handcrafted spirits. Their craft distilling process brings out the full flavor of the grain and leaves a smooth finish unlike any other. Go check out some of their great products. The Old Fashioned is my favorite. The Dill Pickle Vodka is my wife's favorite for a Caesar, but a lot of great stuff over there. They make seltzers now as well. Highly recommend. Go check out Last Mountain Distillery. Now, with that, we are giving you our play of the day. And with the EPL season kicking off, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. This is going to be our 1.5 same game $25 to $1,000 opener. We're going to do a 10-day challenge to kick off the EPL season. We're going to look at some value plays here. And this one's a same gamer at minus 123. This is one where you're going to have to explore your books and see if you can find some of these plays, but we're able to find them over at Bet99. Let's start with over 1.5 bookings in this matchup. Incredibly juiced line, but I think that a match like this with Kompany against his former team, I really think that they're going to get physical with this Manchester City side. They're going to try and bully them off the pitch. I don't think that they have that ability to do so, especially when you're taking on the defending champs, but I do think that they're going to get physical. We're going to see a couple of cards. This one may cash by halftime. I also see under 1.5 goals for Burnley because while they are at home, they are taking on a very difficult side. I think that they have the potential to break through and get a single goal, which is why I didn't bet the no both teams to score. But I can't see them putting multiple past City. That backline is just too strong for them. I don't think they're going to have enough possession in the midfield either to create a ton of chances. So on the off chance that they get one, I don't think that they're going to get multiple. And then the final leg is Manchester City over 1.5 goals because they scored over 2.4 goals per game over the entire season last year. They now get a relegation side in the opener. Everyone's going to bet Holland to score at minus 200, but I love this three-legger, minus 123, and that's how we're going to open up the EPL campaign. But we really appreciate everyone that gave the show a listen today. Quick episode. Unfortunately, our guest had to bail on us last minute here today, but we're getting an episode out regardless. Go check out our sponsors. Join the Cook the Books Discord. Follow us on all of our social platforms at HedgePod, and let's put out plenty of winners and have a great first weekend of EPL action.